Man, oh man, is it a sad day in our country. Sad day, sad time. Sad last couple years. Our freedoms being stripped because tyrannical government swarms these United States. Tyrannical governments are starting to swarm the world. Not just here. But swarming the world is almost unsurprising. But this is the one place that a tyrannical government could never live. Well, those days are over. Let's talk about how much we appreciate our nurses and healthcare, all healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, CNAs, PCTs, your techs that help the nurses, especially the nurses themselves. Nurses work incredibly hard. I don't know if the normal person knows how hard a nurse works. I used to be a nursing assistant, and I used to work. I worked in a hospital for a short period of time a few years ago, and yeah, it's a big career shift from what I'm doing now. But nurses work incredibly hard. They're always on the move, bouncing room to room. It's not like, and a nurse will have to go to the have to go pee at noon and is too busy and almost forgets about it, and then isn't able to go until like 5. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. Nurses are incredible people, and I feel like they get taken for granted so often. I'm sorry. And not just by the patients that, throw stuff at them, swear at them, yell at them, patients that victimize nurses, that happens. But now by their employers and the government. Within these next few days and days past, thousands of nurses and doctors will be losing their jobs. And it's because a lot of nurses and doctors either don't agree that the vaccine should be mandatory, so they won't take it because of their own moral beliefs, or they feel like because of their unique health condition, the vaccine is not appropriate for them, and they are medically educated and able to make that decision in a conscious manner. So, they use their PPE, they keep themselves and others safe without the vaccine, but now they're being forced out of their jobs because they don't want to put something that they're not entirely sure about in their body. And again, I'm not anti-vax. I am vaccinated. With my own unique health characteristics, I felt as though it was appropriate for me to be vaccinated. But not everybody feels that way. And some people they don't want to do something just because the government tells them they have to. So now these nurses and doctors, who we praised all through COVID, which we should have, because they stepped up, they were on the front lines, and they were the ones, the nurses, the doctors, they were the ones that kept the world afloat during not only this pandemic, but countless others, and just on a day-to-day basis outside of a pandemic. They are some of the most important people in the world. So these people who deserve all the praise in the world are now being forced out of their jobs, the jobs they love, the jobs that they were born to do. I don't know how many of you have actually stopped to talk to a nurse outside of being in the hospital, but the way they talk about their job, the way they feel about their job, that was a calling for them. That wasn't just well, you know what, I'm gonna go to school and maybe I'll be a nurse because it pays well. Because trust me, it doesn't pay enough for the shit they deal with. Those men and women that do that job were born to do that job. It's just true. I mean, it's in their blood, it's in their heart. You know, they live and breathe to be a nurse. Okay, so, but there comes a point where you can't do things that you don't believe in just to keep your job. You know, but, you know, it just, they shouldn't have to push this vaccine into their bodies just to keep their job. I mean, so they were on the front lines during this whole COVID stuff, and we said they were superheroes and all this yada yada yada. People put, you know, signs in their yard saying nurses are heroes and stuff, which is true, I agree with. But if you feel like they should lose their job because they don't want to take a experimental vaccine, then you're kind of being a hypocrite, you know? You think you are being a hypocrite. You praise these nurses, but now you think they should lose their jobs? I mean, it's just sad. It's a sad, sad day. Sad, sad time, and I can't get on board with that thought process. I just can't. You know, anything that you are forced to do, you know, if you are forced to do something against your will, that is the definition of un-American. You know, we have liberty and freedom, and it's being infringed on by, you know, the government, you know, big pharma, and now, you know, private entities. I mean, and it's all about money. I mean, these hospital chains, you know, they have to report to the federal government if they're, you know, and they have to prove that their employees are vaccinated. And if they're not vaccinated, they're not going to get the money. So they're not going to get the federal grant money and stuff that hospitals get. So they have to throw their employees under the bus and fire them. And Joe Biden even said himself that if these nurses and stuff don't want to get vaccinated, he's gonna pull them. He's gonna grant work visas and give incentives to nurses out of the Philippines and other countries that have mandatory vaccines. If we fall short on nurses, he's gonna pull them from the Philippines, which, you know, nothing against Filipinos, but I don't think it's right that Americans have to lose their jobs and then we pull somebody from a different country and give them incentives and citizenship to come and work in the United States. And then the National Guard to help out in the healthcare facility. So my thought is it really worth lowering our standard of care, because I'm sure the Filipino nurses are great and there's nothing against them, but, and I know plenty of I've known plenty of Filipino nurses that were, you know, that have been working in American hospitals and stuff, and they're up to speed with it and everything, and they do great. But you're gonna pull somebody from another country who's never worked in an American hospital and say, here you go, you're working in an American hospital now. Everything's different, you know. There's so many problems with it. And then the National Guard, who, you know, plenty of them have, you know, battle medic training, but it's not the same as, you know, now working in a hospital full time. It's very different. You know, I worry that we're gonna lower the standard of our medical care just to keep up with politics, and the question nobody's asking is that worth it? And I have to say, I don't believe it is. But my whole point of this video is, it's so sad the way that we're turning on our nurses and doctors and, you know, other healthcare facility employees. And, you know, it's just a complete and utter slap in the face to them after how they helped us get through this. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think I'm completely, you know, off on this, or bonkers, or, you know, or if I'm right. You know, I think I'm right.